Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dallas Daily Show coming at you from the Neighborhood Loan Studio here in St. Louis, Missouri. We are going to talk about wrestling one more time, and I apologize. But this one is actually about amateur wrestling and my son, Arrow. So let's go ahead and get into the conversation. So, so I'm laughing because I had not originally intended to do 3 episodes in a row about wrestling. Okay. And I apologize now. Friday. Friday was like anticipating WrestleMania. Yesterday was the WrestleMania report. Those are both pro wrestling. Today, I'm actually talking about amateur style wrestling, and I'm talking about my son Arrow. He's our third born. He is the last kid in the crew, and he's 8 years old right now. And he has just always been this conqueror type. He's always been one of these kids who's like, I'm gonna do it. And he, even when he learned to ride a bike, it was, Dad, I'm riding a bike today. And I was like, all right, buddy, well, it's going to take us a little bit. And it was like second try. I just said, keep pedaling and look down the street. Don't look down at your feet. Look down the street and keep pedaling, buddy, keep pedaling. And he just went and he did it. And then he decided he was ready for a bigger bike. What did he do? He just went out and got on his brother's bigger bike and just started riding it. Because he could. He was the kid who jumped off the top bunk bed and was like, Lex, catch me. He's just always been our fearless conqueror out of all three of our young men. And they all have their strengths. They all have their place. I love them all. It's so funny. It becomes a competition in our home. Who does Dad love best? Who does Mom love best? And they all think that they're the favorite, which is amazing. Because that means that we're letting them all know how loved they are. And they're all the favorite for a different reason, right? Parents, you understand. One of my sons is probably listening to this because he's been listening to the pod recently. And he's like, yeah, but Dad, I actually am the favorite, right? I'm going to hear the question later. But Arrow has always been our conqueror of the other three. Arthur is this natural born leader. I talked about this all during their birthday episodes in March. Arthur's kind of our natural born leader. Lex is this young man that's filled with like honor and integrity. There's just all of these things that are amazing. But Arrow's like the go get 'em champ. Well, one of his buddies, one of his classmates, is in amateur style wrestling, and Arrow was at his birthday party like a week ago, was at his buddy's birthday party, and the kid wanted to wrestle his friends and show him how good he was. Well, Arrow, never having taken a lesson, pinned his buddy, pinned the birthday boy, and he came home amped, and he wanted to watch wrestling with me that night, and I was like, great, buddy, because we're leading up to WrestleMania, so Dad's catching up on a couple of key matches and a couple of key storylines, so sit and let's watch. He watched part of WrestleMania with me this last weekend. He's been wanting to go into amateur style wrestling. And so this week, we found this wrestling school near us so he can learn mat wrestling, same school that his buddy goes to for training. By the way, Taylor, it's like 2.5 hours twice a week. It's 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And I'm like, that's insane, right? But I guess y'all soccer parents, you do that 3 times a week or whatever, plus you're there on weekends. Dance mothers, you've got to unfortunately be there on things like Mother's Day for a dance recital. Sports is insane to me. Kids sports is like, whoa, way too big of a commitment. However, we got him this tryout for this wrestling thing. And the night before, he's like running around the house in just his underwear. He's got the toy championship belt and he's beating up a pillow. He's elbow dropping it. He's doing all the things, right? He's doing all the stuff. And he's like, Dad, tomorrow I'll even see about taking a chair to wrestling camp. I'm like, it's not that kind of wrestling school, buddy. You're going to learn like basic moves. You're going to learn tumbles. You're going to learn single leg takedowns. You're going to learn, all of these stuff that is not what's happening in the 20 by 20 squared circle on WWE. So he was really looking forward to this, but this thing that he said inspired me. Came back from the first class, and I said, buddy, how'd you do? Was it fun? Did you have a good time? And he said, Dad, like nothing else, wrestling makes me feel alive. And I loved that. It was a really poetic thing coming out of an 8-year-old's mouth. It makes me feel alive. I was like, oh, buddy, tell me a little bit more about that. And he kind of kind of went and talked about it for a few minutes about just like, I felt things in my body and I felt strong. And I was like, I'm in control of this. And oh my gosh, I can get better at this. And with his gymnastics, he's been taking gymnastics the last year. He's like, I can move a little bit and I'm a little more flexible than some of the other boys. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And I said, but when you say makes me feel alive, he goes, oh, I've just never felt more at peace on the inside. I was like, okay, all right. Now, he's always used a lot of words. Right, Taylor? He comes by it naturally. Taylor just made fun of me before. I go, hey, what did I say at the end of the last recording? She goes, I don't know. It was a lot of words. So Arrow, you get it naturally, my son. But I just love that concept. He's doing something and it makes him feel alive. I just have that question for you and me. Are we doing something that makes us feel alive? Are we doing something that's drawing us to an exciting future? I am excited about my future, right? Are we doing something in that regard? Something that you go, boy, if I could do anything in the world, it would be this thing that I'm doing. Or where in your life are you subpar in that? These are just thoughts I want you to think about today. For an 8-year-old, wrestling makes him feel alive. For me, being on stages, being on microphone, sharing insight, training people in the Call to Success Academy, running the Entrepreneur Bible Study. These are things that I get super excited about. What is it that makes you come alive? That's all I got for you today, my friends. I just want you to think about that. And if you're not doing it, if you're like, man, this thing that I've done in the past, it makes me feel alive, but I just don't do it, what's stopping you? Okay, that's it. No more. What's stopping you? What makes you come alive? Go out there. Have a championship day.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to dallasdailyshow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.